idea of solutions-based approach. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you think you understand this? So on a scale of 1 to 10, talk to the person next to you. How confident are you to run an engaging classroom? 1 being, I think it's really boring. And 10 being, it's really going well. And you can be 10 or 1, you can be anything you like. So just give yourself a check. What do you think? Where would you be, 1 to 10? How come you got to, and you can do this to students. So say, how well do you understand this new concept on a scale of 1 to 10? And if they say 2, what got you that far? What do you know? So the focus is on what you can do and where you can go next. So again, where am I going? How am I doing? Where to next? So can you continue conversation and say, what got you that far? Whatever number you just gave yourself. But the intention is to say on a scale of 1 to 10, like what I also do is coaching teachers on the phone, like run a PD and then I talk to them on the phone. And often it's about managing difficult behaviour. It's often a big issue, funnily enough. And I'll say on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel your class is going? And I might go 2. Like I feel like bad. And then I'll say, well, what got you to a 2? What's happening? And then the next question is, what is one small step you could take to go to a 3? So it helps for the people who feel very overwhelmed by the situation to deconstruct it down, to break it down, to say, I've actually achieved this, and if I do this, I can move up 1. And it helps them set a learning goal. And sometimes I think this is why for teaching, reflection is so important. And even if nothing else, today gives you the opportunity to reflect. Because you're in that vortex of craziness, marking and everything else. Having one day to sit still and just to reflect and to think about some of your practices, I feel confirmed about them, ask a few questions. But just as far as a strategy goes, I have found this, which I picked up a number of years, about 5 years ago, in a coaching course. And I was learning to be coached, learning to listen better. 3 days of listening skills. But I know, I probably could have done 5. But I found this one of the most effective things to use with people. Just on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think you are? Where do you think you can go to next? It's very simple. Okay, so we're talking then about that gradual release of responsibility model, and this is really, I think, in the sort of work you do, what we're all endeavouring to do. We start off with focused instruction, but we don't stay there. We move to guided instruction. So it's no, I will do it for you. I'll show you how to do the plumbing thing, whatever. Then the guided instruction, we do it. Then the collaborative learning, you do it together. Then independent learning, you do it alone. So it shifts from the teacher being responsible to the students, because you want your students to walk out of your course being able to do their job. That's really what it's all about, isn't it? Does that describe, you think, the model that you work on very much? But again, it's just that model of developing applied learners, so shifting from a dependent learner to an independent learner. Shifting from a structured approach that's closed and modelled and supported, where you're the supervisor and you're putting things in small chunks, to shifting to where your students are able to move ahead by themselves. And that's really the journey we're on in our courses, isn't it? And sometimes it goes slow and sometimes it goes fast. So just this question is, how do you facilitate learning so your students can feel successful? Because we've looked at the fact that just praise actually doesn't always progress learning. Student conferences just simply mean sitting down and talking to your students about stuff. Praising students for their effort. Providing those instructional supports. Have we got any learning support people here today? Not sure if we do. And again, look, I know there's been funding cuts, I understand, and there's not enough of these people around. So we've sort of got the best practice and we've got the reality. We've got to sort of manage the space in between. But you have got results. I think TAFE has traditionally been really good at supporting people with learning difficulties comparatively than schools. So it's better than other places, that's all I can say. Tracking sheets, so you can show students. Does anyone use tracking sheets to show where you're up to and where to next? Yeah? Yeah. So when students belong, they feel accepted, they feel like there's a purpose, they'll feel engaged and motivated. And when it's a safe and secure learning environment, they don't feel like they're going to be laughed at or be bullied or be given a hard time. That's the one rule I always have, which is respect, non-negotiable. And there's a climate of no fail that's instead of a climate of not yet. And we can look for opportunities to support students with resources as we can. And I guess it's really that comment is about building power with rather than power over students. And that it's a difference in adult learning environment. We're not punitive in an adult learning environment to obey, you've got to do what I say. But it's, you know, this saying, before you exercise power, remember when people feel pushed, they resist. Or the other saying is, when I insist, they resist. So always we're looking at building power with rather than power over. And there's some really fantastic work on this by Jim Knight, who wrote a book called High Impact. So if you're dealing with younger students, or I still think adults, his principles are basically coaching principles. That you're coaching your students, and then you've sort of said that yourself today. We're coaching them to success. That's if we have that mind frame. And also giving students the opportunity to express their opinion about things, about how the learning's affecting them, you know, even how they work. Like for some students, they are very happy working collaboratively like this, and it is the best way, it is the most effective way to learn. But if you've got a student with high anxiety disorder, they are going to be freaked out to be in a small group or to be asked to talk. So we have to cue into those things and give people choices. A student maybe with auditory processing disorder or ASD might be much happier if they can sit by themselves on a table. Or, you know, even a cubicle. You know the old cubicles from libraries where they can sit there. Some people might want to sit on the floor. You know, and actually some of the new learning spaces in schools are providing that. Some standing up. So where students can just sort of say what's going to work best for you, or even how we're going to structure the day. Say, today we're going to do some work, we're going to do some talking, we're going to do some collaboration, we're going to play a game. You know, get some feedback from them, what works. Because then they are making a choice, even if they're not making a choice to be there. So, listening always to your students' voice. And the key one, as I said, is collaboration, because it's one of the key employability skills. If you can't collaborate with people, you can't work with people. And in school, it's a big thing to teach, because in school it's called cheating. So we've got to say it's not cheating, it's learning from each other, collaborating. But for now, we're going to practice a really hard activity which came from Harvard University. You know Harvard University in America? It's based about collaboration, because it looks at what skills you have, what skills you need. And to do this, we need to break into some groups. This is a challenge. And again, this is a TED talk if you want to look at it. Some of you might know it. It's a marshmallow challenge. What you have is you can only use these materials. You've got 1 metre of masking tape, 12 sticks of spaghetti, and 1 marshmallow, which is not to be eaten. And you'll only have 10 minutes, and you've got to build a tower. And the marshmallow must be on the top of the tower when time is called, and your tower must be standing unassisted. And the measurement is a vertical measurement from the tabletop up. And you can stick your masking tape to the tabletop if you want to.
Oh, that's cheating.
I see the types involved.
There are no losers.
It was taller.
Just those who didn't win.
It's not better. It's not better.
All right.
That's winning by deception.
You can go and have a look at them if you want
You're holding it.
72.
It's not freestanding.
now, but it did stand up. It's not broken enough.
Yeah.
At all. It didn't.
It is standing.
It's standing.
How's it still standing?
That's a good
Better than some people.
Yeah.
It's like building the Eiffel Tower and it falls over. Is it still called the Eiffel Tower?
Oh, we've got a dead heat.
Hang on, let me go. I wasn't holding it properly.
You should have lifted it up.
It's like catching fish.
It's about building a tribe. You should know your class as a tribe. Check-ins, and it can be having a agreed code of conduct, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. I'm grateful circles. Again, it takes 23 days to shift a mindset. So if you have every single day you start with a positive statement, or you have, I trialled this once with where students, we went around a circle and said, what are you grateful for today? And I didn't think that they would take to it, but I was amazed, and they were very disadvantaged students. They'd say, I'm grateful I had a bed last night, I'm grateful, I had breakfast this morning. So the 23 days, if you consistently keep talking about a growth mindset, keep talking about effort, keep talking about progress, it's actually, it's teachable. It's teachable. It's about creating a climate of learning where we can exceed expectations, not just a good try, not just quite right, not just getting it done, but disrupting students' expectations of themselves. Disrupting students' expectations of themselves so we can exceed expectations. So that's what helps us build a roadmap. And that's what we're going to do next time. Today was getting all the strategies like a smorgasbord, that'll work, that won't work. Next time, we'll create a roadmap for learning.